Oh, hey there, Mr. Top Player. You, your Highness. I was just wondering if you had any tips on how to use pure analog pitching a little bit better.
Ah ha ha, little peon, shut the fuck up. And go in that corner over there while I bang your girlfriend and while she talks about how big my penis is compared to yours, and maybe, if you're good, I will let you jerk off in the corner or something.
That's a little overboard, but you don't think you could instead just maybe tell me how to use pure analog?
Shut the fuck up!
Hey everybody, this is Beanie Antics here, and today we're going to be doing our first tutorial about how to be amazing in MLB The Show 17. I am so excited to help you guys out because the YouTube views are amazing. No, I'm kidding. They're really not great right now. I'm just trying to grow the channel. Hey, I do what I can. But no, really, I do want to help you guys out. And I am one of those quote-unquote top players. I run around in that community and all that good stuff. I would consider myself like maybe a top 20 player, even though right now I think I'm 28th. Generally, I hang in that area. I'm certainly not the best, but definitely not the worst. And I think that I do have advice that you guys would find useful. So with that being said, let's dig in to the settings. Today we're going to be talking about settings and what settings top players use and what you can afford to do without and what you can't. So let's get into it. Okay, so we're here at the settings menu, and
Beanie Antics, why do you have your hood up?
I don't know, I'm a weird guy. Shut the fuck up, okay? Anyway, we're here at the settings menu, and I'm going to talk... This video is probably going to be a little bit more boring than the other ones that I'm going to do, where I talk about how to use zone effectively and how to use pure analog effectively and stuff like that. But this one I feel is pretty necessary to being the best that you can be, because I think that settings go a long way towards making you a good, decent player. Honestly, the difference between mid CS, upper CS player and a DS player is probably the settings. The difference between a CS player and a World Series player oftentimes can be settings. You know, maybe they're using zone hitting, but they're not using button accuracy or pure analog, and they make mistakes that World Series players don't make because of that. So today we're going to be talking about all the settings and which ones you need to use to be your best. So we're going to start out with hitting. With hitting, you want to use zone hitting. It's absolutely 100% necessary to being a good player. If you're using directional, stop it. If you're using pure analog, stop it. They're not offline, they're fine, but when you're dealing online, they are not effective ways of hitting. To be a top player, or to be a good competitive player in the CS, you need to use zone hitting. It's 100% necessary. For input type, buttons, analog, doesn't really matter. As long as, sorry, I was just checking my OBS there. It doesn't really matter as long as you are using zone. I would say buttons is probably a little bit more effective. It's probably a little quicker. It's probably a little easier to power swing or contact swing or whatever. For analog, if you're not using analog, I would definitely, or if you are using analog, I would definitely go with flick, but not stride. But overall, I would probably recommend buttons. For the PCI, I like to keep my PCI turned on with reticle. This is pure preference. Really, the only one that's awful is buckshot. It's terrible. But reticle or wedge, in my opinion, are the best. Most top players would probably say wedge. I use reticle. It's just a preference. The plate coverage indicator, if you're used to using directional or pure analog, I maybe would recommend turning the PCI off, because it has that feel of directional, but it eliminates the randomness of directional. Like if you are in the right spot with your PCI and you have good timing, you're gonna hit the ball. In which directional you may foul it off, or you may just miss it completely because a lot of it is random. So on or off, most people turn it on because they like to see that visual, but if you don't, it's fine to turn it off. It's okay. For your hitting view, I would use Strike Zone. Strike Zone is the easiest camera to track pitches. Every top player, or not every top player, but most top players will tell you that Strike Zone is the most effective way to hit, because you can track pitches. You're right there, locked in. Your PCI is bigger, at least, you know, from a perception standpoint. And to me, it's just a lot easier to hit with Strike Zone. But if you're one of those people that likes to see their hitter, that likes the aesthetic feel of seeing their hitters swing the bat, because you can't do that with Strike Zone. Your hitter is kind of cut out of the camera. If you can't see that with Strike Zone, or you can't see them with Strike Zone, and if you prefer that, the two cameras that I would recommend is offset zoom or zoom. God, I'm taking this hood off. I'm fucking hot. It's just a little gag. It's a stupid little gag. Not a good one either. I'm dumb. Okay, for you know, putting the ball in play on offense, I really don't think it's a big deal either way. I use medium because I think it gives you the most accurate view of like what like if your hit is going to drop, if it's going to be a home run. And that can be important when making base running decisions. You know, if you're on first base, should you tag up, or should you just take off and try to score on that gapper that may get caught? I think with medium, you have a better idea of whether or not it's going to be caught. So I would use, oh shit, where did I go? Basic, batting, base running, okay. It gives you a better idea of whether the ball is going to be caught or not, as opposed to, say, dynamic. Dynamic I don't like. I wouldn't use dynamic if I were you. The other ones are fine, but I think medium is probably the best. Okay, for pitching, pure analog, it's a tough thing, man. It's not as necessary as zone hitting, but I think if you have the ability to get used to pure analog before 17 comes out and before you really start playing competitively, I think it is a major advantage. As opposed to using, say, meter or pulse. The reason is because if you mess up, everything is in your control. If you screw up and you don't hit your meter effectively or your interface effectively, it's going to the ball is going wherever you messed up. If you hit it perfectly, it's going to go exactly where you tell that ball to go. So what this means is if you really want to make a concerted effort not to miss high because the opponent that you're facing is crushing high pitches, you can make sure that your meter rides low to where if you miss, you're going to miss low and you won't miss high and you won't get punished as hard. And I will go into more detail on the pure analog tutorial that I'm going to do in a few days, but I would say that if you have the ability to really practice, and it only takes a few days to get decent at and probably a month to master, but if you have the ability to get used to it and to be good with it, I think it's a much better option than pulse or meter. I'm just going to be honest with you. If you use pulse or meter, it's fine and you can get by with it, but you have to accept that there is a little bit of randomness, and that you're gonna hang some pitches that probably you wouldn't have hung with pure analog. Now, with that said, the camera I would use for pitching, I would use the same camera that you use for hitting. So if you use Strike Zone to hit, I would use Strike Zone pitching. If you use offset zoom pitching. The reason is because it helps you better visualize what pitches may be effective against your opponent. If you know that the pitcher you're using, whenever you face him, if you struggle against that low and outside changeup, you can really pound that low and outside changeup more effectively with strike zone, and you can visualize how your opponent is going to react to it, because you're seeing the same thing that he is likely seeing. If you're playing in the CS or in the World Series, it's very likely that your opponent is using strike zone. If you're lower than that, he probably isn't, but you still have some sort of idea about what he may struggle with. Now, with that being said, let's talk about fielding. This is the thing that I see even some top players doing that is just, it just makes me cringe every time I think about it. They will use, they'll turn their meter off, they'll use, button throwing or whatever. Button accuracy is the way to go for your throwing interface. If you get decent at button accuracy and you can green all of your throws, and by green I mean hit it in the green part of the meter, you will never make another throwing error again. And this is the awesome thing about it. This is the only interface where you can actually set your difficulty online. So if you're facing a guy online, you can set the throwing difficulty to legend. You can set it to rookie. It doesn't matter. It's the only thing that you can really affect from a difficulty standpoint online, and I don't know why you can do it. It's kind of crazy, and it may be changed for 17. I don't know. I doubt it. But if it is, then disregard this. But set that to rookie, and your interface for button accuracy, the green area will be enormous. Your meter will move really, really slowly, and you will be able to pretty much never have another throwing error. I think that the most important thing that top players do that other players don't is they eliminate all of the randomness out of this game, and there is a lot of randomness. And if you eliminate the randomness and put everything in your control and get good at it, all of a sudden, I mean, it just, it stands to reason you're going to be better at the game because you are in control of everything, and you're good and you're efficient at using all of these interfaces to make yourself a better player. So set this to rookie, button accuracy, and you will have this optimized. Everything else, I don't use throw canceling because sometimes it can screw you up, but I guess some people like to try to fake people out or something. I don't know. But if you want to use throw canceling, that's fine. Everything else, I don't even think it's an option in online. So the only thing with fielding is button accuracy. Use that, and I promise you will not regret it. A lot of people say that they don't get the same kind of power behind their throws that they do with other interfaces. Like, I don't know what the interface is where like the blue arrow runs all the way down and you can throw it full power, but it may not be accurate or whatever. The way that you throw a ball harder with button accuracy is you have your you have your arch. Sorry, let me fix this. There's an arch as an interface, and your meter starts here and it rides all the way back to this other thing, and then it'll come back here and it'll go again. What you want to do is this part's the red, this part's the yellow, and then everything in between is green. So whenever this is moving up, if you stop it at the beginning of the green, it's going to be a weaker throw. If you stop it in the middle, it's going to be a slightly stronger throw. If you stop it at the very end, where the yellow and the red, where the yellow and the green meet, at the end of the meter, or at the end of the green anyway, if you can time it to where you get it at the very end of that green section, it's going to be the strongest possible throw. And that makes it a little harder to do without making an error. But if you're in the outfield and you need trying to get a defensive assist at third base or at home, that's whenever you can kind of take that risk and let it ride as far as you can, because if you green that throw, it's going to be a good throw to home plate as long as it's within a reasonable distance. If you're at the warning track with a guy that has 70 throw power and 70 throw accuracy, even if you green the throw, it's probably going to be offline by a little bit because it's just kind of an unreasonable throw to try to make, and you should probably try to hit your cutoff man. But if you're at a reasonable distance and you can make that throw with a guy who has a stronger arm, it's going to be online and you're going to have a really good shot at throwing that guy out. The last thing I want to talk about is the pitching ball marker. The pitching ball marker isn't a big deal. I like to use Classic. Most people like to use Pitch Trail. It doesn't really matter. It's all preference. So if you want to use Classic and be cool like me, you can do that. If you want to be a turd and use Pitch Trail, that's fine too. Most of this community are a bunch of turds anyway because they use Pitch Trail. So it's just up to you. Be cool, be a turd. Either way, I won't hate you for it. Nah. But anyways, that's probably gonna do it for the settings tutorial. This wasn't quite as in-depth as the other ones are gonna be whenever I talk about how to use zone hitting, how to use pure analog pitching, how to field better, how to take more efficient routes to balls in the outfield. Most of this is going to dig into how to eliminate the randomness from the game and whatever interfaces you use, how to use them to the best of your capabilities. Am I going to turn you into Pitching Rebel? Probably not. But I could turn you into Beanie Antics, or on my PSN. A lot of people know my PSN is USM Baseball. Maybe I could turn you into me. Just a really good player at this game. Not the best, certainly not the worst. But with that said, be looking out for these tutorials. I'm going to try to put one out every single day leading up to MLB The Show 17. And once 17 is out, I'm really going to dig into it to see if anything has changed. And then I'll come back and I'll correct anything that I may have missed, or maybe different in MLB The Show 17, because I really want to help you guys in the community to be better players, because I think the more people that are World Series players that are really good at this game, I think the community is better for it. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more of these videos. And I will see you guys either later today with a Diamond Dynasty video or tomorrow. Peace.